Hello, welcome to my presentation of my portfolio. My name is Lewis Beecher, and I also go by lbeecherdev12. I'm a 21-year-old indie game developer student from Wakefield. Been studying for 5 years. In this presentation, you will see some of the better projects and work that I have done over the course of the 5 years. In this presentation, you will see such projects such as a collaborative piece called Howler's Farm and a more collaborative piece of Nights of Nonsense. You'll see some of my artwork, like the Fallout inspired terminal, which I think is one of my better pieces. So stay tuned and I will tell you a bit more. So to start off with, in this presentation, I will explain my education and specialisms. I have many skills in the discipline of game development, but I do mainly focus on art, specifically 3D modeling. I've done some work in 2D art and 2D asset creation. I've done such things like create textures for one of the projects and obviously some of my own. Obviously when I first started in game development, I didn't quite know what discipline I wanted to do. I'm not really good at programming, so it had to be out of art or design. And I can design. I think some of my designs are great, with obviously designing elements in games like mechanics, levels, themes, etc. But as I did do art as one of my GCSEs, I thought I better stick to that path, as I think I'm quite good at art and I do enjoy doing art. I enjoy being creative. It is one of the more better experiences of game development for me. And obviously when I started doing my game development course in one college, in one of the projects, we was introduced to Blender, and that's when I fully decided to pursue the 3D art element of art. Education-wise, I started off at Wakefield College, qualifying my level 3 in indie game development. I then decided to apply to the uni course that they offer at Wakefield at the University Centre, and during that I have got my qualification foundation degree in indie game development, and I am currently finishing my BA Honours degree in indie game development. As well as obviously knowing what my specialism is and what discipline I really want to pursue in a career in the gaming industry. Obviously that comes with, obviously all of my education has come with a good few software strengths and knowledge on how to use certain softwares within the tools that we can use in game development. So I've got 5 years experience in Blender. I think one thing that I always like to hear and like to say is that no matter what you do, no matter how old you are always still learning new things. So with all the softwares that I use, no matter how much experience I've got, I'm not always going to know everything. So the 5 years is like, obviously, it's a lot, but it's not at the same time. There's still more to be learned. And the same with Unity as well. I've also got 5 years experience using Unity. I think I'm comfortable using it and navigating around it. It's just the programming side of things that I really struggle with. I'm not really good at programming, but I do want to continue my learning with that and hopefully make my own projects with it. As well, the Adobe Creative software suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, Substance Painter. Photoshop and Illustrator are my strengths in the Adobe Creative suite, as they're ones that I've previously used and I've made some great things in there. Critter is another one that I've used. I think I've got about a year experience with that. Just creating textures and just 2D assets, as well as Sprite. There's not as much as that. It's probably about half a year, which I was going to use to make for one of my projects before I changed the whole idea altogether. Yeah, this still is a long way to go with my learning of some softwares. Like I said, you'll always learn something new about softwares and the tools that you're going to use no matter what in any trade you are in. So for my first showcase piece of this portfolio, I'm going to use my animation that I made in Blender. I was inspired to make this. I saw a video on how the liquid simulation works in Blender, and I just thought I might have a go at it, see how it turns out. So I've named it Whiskey Ice Drop, but the viscosity of the liquid is not that of a whiskey at all. It's more like a honey, which I got in some feedback, and I didn't act on that feedback because every time that I tried to alter the liquid in Blender, it would just break and it just wouldn't work. But I do think it is one of the nicer pieces in my portfolio as well. So as you can see from the animation clips, it's not that long. I mean, it's a second, maybe less. And there's some nice still screenshots from it, from different angles. This piece didn't take really long to make, as I did kind of just watch a video of how to kind of get the liquid simulation working, so it took me less than a day. It took me like a few hours to make. I think if I obviously took some more time and made the liquid look like whiskey, it would have made a nice piece, and possibly changed the glass as well. The materials used are just created in the Blender shader section. Obviously the glass is just alphaed normal material turned down, and then the liquid is just the same but with a different colour to make it kind of resemble like a whiskey. For my next portfolio item, I created an isometric bedroom in Blender. This was using the 4.3 version at the time. I was just browsing through ArtStation, or looking through, and I just searched the portfolio because I hadn't really added to my portfolio for a while on ArtStation, which ArtStation is going to be my main portfolio as an artist, and there is a lot of great art on there. And a lot of things that I found were these isometric bedrooms, so I thought I'd just create one as well to just kind of stock up my portfolio a bit and just have like an extra piece on there. Obviously, looking at it, some things are a bit out of place and not really lined up well, like the bed frame. This didn't really take long. It's probably like an hour, 2 hours max. But I just, yeah, again, needed that portfolio top up as well with the like the skirting board, as you would say. Obviously, there are a lot more nicer pieces. This is obviously a rushed work, but I still think it looks great, and I really think that the colours accent each other really well. Obviously it's not too dark, it's not too bright. The colours just contrast well with each other, and I think that it kind of turns a sort of bad piece into a better piece. And that's what I really like about this project, is just the colours. It's just sort of using the colours that I like, my favourite colours. So with the blues and the light greys, and not too much of a black on the wall. Yeah. So for this piece, the Warhammer 40k shoulder pads that I have labelled as Space Marine Dark Angel shoulder pads. This piece was inspired by a challenge I saw whilst I was just scrolling on YouTube Shorts. The creator in the video, obviously, to start the video, asking how would you go about modelling this? And so I took to the challenge. I should have recorded myself creating this piece, as it would have been really good to show on this as well. But as well as that, being a big fan of Warhammer 40k and playing the tabletop game, I absolutely had to do this piece. In the images, so some of the edges aren't marked as sharp, and what I did was obviously take some rendered images of the shoulder pads not marked, and then the ass, like these ones here, are marked sharp around some of the edges, like there and around there, just to kind of see the difference between them two. And I do like the ones that are marked sharp, because I think it kind of resembles more of the Warhammer style that is obviously used on their figures and in their games as well. For my next piece, this is my favourite piece. I'm a big fan of Fallout and the Fallout game series and the TV series as well. And I happen to have bought the Art of Fallout book that Bethesda released, showcasing all the concept art and all the process of making all the art for the game, which is an incredible book. I really just like looking at it sometimes and trying to get some inspiration for my modelling. So obviously I took the challenge and made the terminal. It was a bit of a challenge to make some elements of the terminal. For one, the screen. As you can see, I've kind of inset the face to kind of make the screen, and then I think I made a mess of this, but it was too late to go back and change it, so I kind of just dealt with that, and then which I could have just used a boolean for the screen, for the screen edge, and just used the plane in the middle for the actual screen. The screen itself is, I use the proportional editing tool for the screen to make it kind of bulge out a bit, or get it that curve effect. It's kind of like a screen. This was also one of the first art pieces that I made using Substance Painter to texture with. So from the screenshots you can see there's like details like dirt and that. It's kind of almost sort of like in the Fallout universe, like a pre-war terminal, because it is a bit more cleaner than it is dirtier. So some of the things like that are just using the material that the case uses, which is like a scuffed metal plastic case texture. And I was gonna decal the keys, but I just kind of wanted to save some time and just get another piece on my portfolio as well.
Right, so now I'm going to talk about my continued personal development plan. First off, Blender. Obviously, I have been using Blender for 5 years, but there's still a lot more to learn. Especially with one of the modules that we have just done, we decided to go for a stylized art style, which I would like to learn more about and kind of master making stylized assets, as there are some really nice pieces out there, and I would like to create some nice pieces myself. I would also like to work in realism as well and make some more realistic pieces, and just have obviously a few more nice pieces on my portfolio. I also learnt geometry nodes as well. This is just like a sort of node-based programming sort of thing in Blender, and you can use it for procedural modelling, animation and scarring, which allows for non-destructive manipulation of meshes, the curves and the volumes. As you can see, I made like a Minecraft terrain generator with it. I could apply what I know with the geometry nodes and create environments or animations for assets in games. I also probably should do a bit more work on topology as well. It's not the greatest at the moment, so there's a lot of room to improve. Next, Substance Painter. I have used it before, obviously to texture the Fallout terminal, but obviously there's a lot more to learn. Obviously how to paint textures with like brushes and using the decals, etc., and like hand painting details onto assets. Critter, obviously is something that I need to touch upon a bit more. As I said, I did use Critter to create textures. There's a couple here. Obviously I just need to probably spend a bit more practice doing it, and then I think that I can master like the texture side of it, and hopefully release my own sort of asset packs and that sort of thing, especially with the seamless textures, because then they can be used over and over again without really having to do any lineup or anything. And then also using Create as well to create 2D assets like tile sets and animation charts. Again, the concept art section kind of just covers the thing of animations and tile maps and sprite sheets. Unity, obviously still having 5 years experience, obviously still a lot to learn on the programming side. Using Unity isn't hard for me personally. I can comfortably navigate around the software, and I know what things do in the software, but obviously I just want to go down the more programming side, and I've set myself the task of just making my own project, which I'm going to choose a roguelike FPS arena shooter. I've kind of already given it a name. It's called Gravewave, so hopefully that should be done at some point. And also, I guess as well, to stick with the art side in Unity, just learn how to create shaders for the art styles. So for the start of the collaborative game side of the projects that I've done, this is Hallows Farm, which is just a top-down 2D zombie wave shooter. This project has now been abandoned, but it's still playable. It was one of the first games that me and 2 other people collaborated on, and it took about 2 weeks. There were 3 of us. I did some programming for this game. I made the wave system, and I did some art, just making 2D sprites for the pumpkins, and just changing a few of the other assets like the zombies and player character. As you can see, the game is about protecting your farm from endless waves of the apocalypse. Grow pumpkins to access new weapons to aid in your defense and protect your farm for as long as possible. So basically you get seeds from killing zombies, you plant the pumpkins, the zombies then attack the pumpkins, so you have to protect them. And when the pumpkins grow, you also get more seeds, which then can be used as currency to get, also in order to buy new weapons or plant more pumpkins. Yeah, so we did use asset packs, but we just slightly altered them to just give them a different aesthetic look. There's not really much in terms of like screenshots or content for this game. We didn't really create a trailer or anything. As like the project just kind of, as we started it, we did good, and then as it got to like the end of the 2 weeks, we kind of just, the workflow stopped and became less. So it's not It's not the best project, but it is one of the better projects that I have taken part in. So finally, for my last portfolio piece, this is Knights of Nonsense, which is a couch co-op hack and slash game where players explore endless dungeons, got to complete objectives, upgrade your weapons, and then face the boss at the end of the dungeon. So the objectives of the game is to find all 3 crystals and destroy them, which then unlocks the boss, and you defeat him, and you just repeat through endless generations of dungeons. This was a collaborative piece with 6 team members, which we all played a specific role. So we had 1 project lead, which was me, 2 artists, I was one of the artists, we had 2 programmers, we had 3 programmers, we had 1 designer, and we had 1 UI designer and marketing person. Obviously, that's more than 6 roles for each person, so some people did double down on their roles and did some more work than others did, so that helped with making the game. As the project lead for this game, what I had to do was obviously set tasks for people, manage the project, make sure everything was sailing smooth, set tasks for people weekly, have weekly checkups, weekly meetings to make sure that targets are being hit and that working hours are being met. Also had to, as the project lead as well, obviously took it as a more serious role, made a team agreement with specific team rules. There was disciplinary actions if they were needed, which they didn't get used, so that's a bonus. And yeah, this project took 4 months to make, so it's a bit unfinished, but it will be finished in time for the student showcase that the Game Republic are hosting. Again, this project is a bit meh, as towards the end of the project everybody kind of stopped working on it, as we had some other work to do, but in the team overall there was some laziness when it came to work, and some team members not really doing much work, which was a bit annoying, because if everybody did their work, this game could have been a lot better now than what it is. Now I will play the trailer for Knights of Nonsense to finish this off. Thank you for watching my portfolio, and I hope you are all impressed by the pieces that you have seen.